One of the ones that I use, actually probably quite a bit, but anyways, one that I use quite a bit is around creativity. And so my partner and I made a decision years ago that we didn't want to get married, that it wasn't for us. We see it kind of like as a um, social construct in the sense of legal, and then also a religious construct if you get married in the church. So for us, we were kind of like, that's not our jam. That's okay. Because guess what? We were both leading with self energy and recognized like that was a calm feeling that came across us when we both like said it out loud to each other and we agreed. And we were both confident in it. Right. So anytime people would try to bounce back and question, well, why aren't y'all getting married? And you've been together for X amount of years and so on and so forth. We're just like, it's not for us, and that's okay. You want to get married? Bet. Send us that invitation. We're going to come through. We support you. We love you, but it's not for us, and that's okay. So one thing, though, that did stand out to me was the fact that growing up with both of my parents, they each have different last names, and I have my father's last name, which is Ben Sang. And I always felt like that was kind of funky, right? And so one thing that was important to me, and I had the conversation with my partner, was like, listen, I want us to all have the same last name. He was like, okay, so what do? We tried playing around with like blending our names, making up a whole new, well, what we think is a whole new name. And yeah, those were all failed missions. But we landed on a merge of both of our names, right? So that's why you see Bensang in my last name. And then you have Montero, which is his last name. And we hyphenated it. Yes. Is it a mouthful? Absolutely. Do I really care? Nope. I'm confident in that decision and I'll still stand by it. So what we did is we both went to the court and we changed our names. So we both have Bensang Montero, which I also think is really dope that he changed his. And our little human has the same last name. So that for me was like, okay, what is it about marriage or weddings or any of those components to that I like, or that I might feel like I'm missing out on if I don't get married? And I said, well, I still want a ring because I like jewelry, and which I'm not wearing my jewelry right now, but and I want us to all have the same last name. And I want documentation to say that if something were to happen to either of us and the other one is in the hospital, that they'll let us in, right? And that we can make decisions. So we navigated all that stuff. And that was because we were both coming from self-energy, and my self-energy met his self-energy. And we were able to get creative, and we were able to get and be confident. I was able to be curious around, what is it about marriage? What is that, right? Because there's a number of facets that go into it. And really pulling out and dissecting what I wanted, or why maybe it was drilled into my head, or how it's supposed to be, and really kind of like teasing through all of that. That took a whole lot of self-energy and curiosity. And then courage to tell people, parents, and other people, family, who would be like, why aren't you getting married? Why'd you change your name? You said you weren't getting married. Like, just to navigate all of that. So that's one example where you can see kind of like how self-energy really just intertwines and comes together and can show up in whether it be a big life decision like that one was for us, and actually is because it's ongoing, or all the way down to smaller and more individual and personalized ways that our self-energy shows up, right? That curiosity, that was all internal. I had to look inwards and say, all right, Vanessa, what's up? Like, why do we want this? Why do we find this to be so important?